Guys, you know what time it is. We already did the water. We already did the tree. Today, we are going to go through all of the fire units in Element Fission and reference Summoner's War units so you guys get a better understanding of how to think about their skill sets. Let us begin. First up, we have the Fire Steel Wings. So the Fire Steel Wings, I already mentioned this a few times, is in previous videos, is very similar to Colleen. All these Steel Wings are worth building. We didn't get to the LD ones yet, but all of the normal element Steel Wings at least are definitely worth building, and they're easy to get sculpts for because they're 3 stars, and of course, the game just wants to give you so many Steel Wings, I feel. Is it my imagination, or is it... It's my imagination. Maybe it's just my RNG. Anyway, we've got the first skill. It is an attack down. Second skill is incurable, triple hit. It's effectively like really Colleen. And then not just a little bit Colleen, it's really Colleen. And then we have the third skill, Flame Charge. Recover HP of all allies and grant them a 3-turn attack up. It's really Colleen. It's like there's no two ways about it. So second we have Clockwork. So Clockwork is similar, not quite the same though, similar to the Fire Hellhound. Let's take a look why. We have the Excavate Digging. Mysterious Ores grants various buffs to all allies for 3 turns. Higher the luck rate. So this is one of the few units that has an actual luck rate increase in the amount of buffs, or luck rate increase in anything in the skills, because some units actually do get increased buffs or debuffs based on the luck. More effects may appear. Possible effects include attack up, crit up. Both of those are what the Fire Hellhound does. And then healing overturn. He does not do that. Maybe the second awakened Fire Hellhound in Summoner's War is going to do that. I don't know. Then we have the ambush. Because, of course, we have the ambush, right? Attacks enemy afterwards grants yourself 2 turns speed up damage based on your speed. Very Hellhound skill. And then we have the knock. Attack an enemy. Inflict 2 turns speed down damage based on your speed. This is kind of a Hellhound thing, is speed increase stuff. And then we have the attack up, crit up. What is the next one? Actually, what is the... Hold on. Core support. Interesting. Well, I guess core makes sense. Next up, we have the Popo Rider, the Fire Popo Rider. So this is just like the tree one. This is going to be very similar to the Fire Griffin. So we have the Flame Teammates. 10 years playing these games, guys. Flame. No, it's not fire. It's flame now. Leader ability. Fire teammates get 25% attack. We have the third skill, Headwind, inflict 2 turns speed down to all enemies, and has an 80 to 100% chance to decrease their action bar by 30%. There's no attack down, which would be nice, but this is the most important, is the very high speed, which she gets the very high speed after she is 6-starred. So it doesn't, because there's no awakening here, she gets the high speed after 6-starred. And then we have the, I really want to call this Poop Butt. Attacks and enemy damage based on target's max HP. And then the first skill, Swing. Attack an enemy with a 70% chance to inflict 2-turn blind. So blind is basically like you have the chance to land a glancing hit, right? So we got the Poop Butt, the Popo Butt. I feel like Popo Butt is also funny. And then the Headwind. Okay, so what's next? Next we have the Dome Fighter. And the Dome Fighter is very similar to the Fire Frankenstein Bulldozer in Summoner's War. You got the Guild Defense Leader skill. You have the Utmost Swing attack. Attack an enemy 2 times. I mean, it does say an enemy. Attack an enemy 2 times damage based on your defense. Ignores target's defense. You will get a 1-turn stun after using this ability. It's Bulldozer. Booing grants yourself 2-turn defense up and inflicts 1-turn taunt to all enemies with a 70% chance. This is not so much like Bulldozer. It's kind of more like the Fire Vagabond in Summoner's War, is increase the defense and then do a taunt. And then we have the Consecutive Drive, 2-time attack and a chance to stun. Damage based on defense. So that is like Bulldozer. Next up we have the Hog Chef, and the Hog Chef is actually, you guys are gonna hate this. You're gonna hate me for saying this, is actually kind of like Raccoony. So, Hog Chef, teammates get 18% defense, leader ability, refill passive at the start of your turn, remove 2 debuffs, and recover HP by 10% for the ally with the lowest HP. I know so many people have been had their years of being frustrated by Raccoon in certain metas. Then we have the support increase the action bar of an ally target by 100%. Also grant 1 turn attack up and effect up. Not quite exactly the same as Raccoon, but it is an increase of the attack bar just like he does. And then also one kind of buff. He does the speed buff. This one does the attack up and effect up. And then we have the charge increase action bar, 10% of the ally with the highest action bar. So very much similar to Raccoon. What do we have next? We have the Sharpshooter, which is actually similar to kind of both the Fire Inugami and the light Kung Fu Girl. So the speed lead, fire teammates get plus 18 speed. We have the volley shoot, 6 arrows. The first 3 will definitely hit the selected target, while the last 3 will randomly choose targets to attack, each absorbing 20% of the enemy's action bar. Not quite the same as the Kung Fu Girl, but because she does strips as well. Lower the target's action bar, the greater the damage. But this is this is gonna be nice for that not Necropolis, poison. What is the name? Why can't I remember the names of literally anything? I never can. Then we have the gang fight. Grant all allies 2-turn crit up, then teams up with 2 allies to attack an enemy. Of course, Fire Inugami doesn't have the crit up, but it's just a little bit. They make it a little bit easier to crit in this game. I did notice that. Then we have the sharp arrow, attacks an enemy 2-turn defense down. 6-star adds an additional hit. This is really going to be super solid for that dungeon, though. All these multi-hits, 3 hits here. And then we have multiple units attacking here, especially with those multiple hits. And then the volley, 6 arrows. What was I about to say? I don't know, guys. But yeah, that's gonna be really, really solid for that dungeon. I think this is better than maybe we notice right now. And I think it's gonna be. The more people actually start playing with it, the more people start actually doing that dungeon after they get the gear from the other dungeons, the more they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to build this, everyone build it, and we're going to see a bunch of those being built, I feel. So next up we have the Fire Turtle Tank. So the Fire Turtle Tank is kind of like the Fire Paladin in Summoner's War. I feel like maybe that's a stretch, but also we have the Take Cover, grant all allies 2-turn defense up, and grant all allies except self a 2-turn stealth. I mean, it's weird to say because the Fire Paladin doesn't do a defense up and stealth, but I feel like it's a very similar thing. It's protect the allies and then make sure that the enemies are hitting you. So that's my thought process behind why I think, because I was thinking of like what could be a better example than that, but that's just the thing that kept coming to my mind, and I'm like, I'm sure someone's gonna mention something that's actually closer, but this is just what I feel. And then we have the recoil, which is a taunt, and then we have the first skill, which is a stun. So I mean, not quite exactly the same, but similar-ish to that. Then we have the Fire Occult Dancer. So the Fire Occult Dancer is kind of like a mix between Miyang and Sophia. I'm trying to remember all these names, man. I can't remember my own name. We have the Crescent, attacks an enemy 4 times. Each attack has a 40 to 50% chance to inflict 2-turn defense down, which is similar to the Wind Puree. Afterward, grant all allies 2-turn speed up, which she does not do. Sophia does not do damage based on your max HP. And Sophia also, her damage is not based on the max HP. I feel like there's probably a better example than Sophia, but that's just the first thing I was thinking of. And I'm like, man, I can't be here for like 20 minutes trying to think of one unit. And then we have the Deep Breathing second skill. To extend the duration of buffs and shorten the duration of debuffs for 1 turn on all allies. Recover their HP by 20. This is similar to what Miyang does with her skill. It does basically the same thing. Recovery amount increased according to the number of buffs, debuffs granted on each target. And then we have the solo attack and enemy damage based on targets, max HP. I mean, so it's not like a one-to-one comparison, but it has certain elements of both of those. So what do we have next is the Bouncing Joker, and the other ones are similar to the Drunken Masters. This one kind of similar to the Drunken Masters as well, a bit, but also kind of similar to the Dark Occult Girl. However, he's not going to be as strong as Dark Occult Girl is in Summoner's War because there's not a crazy amount of multi-hits. So we have the Soft Slap. Attacks an enemy 1 turn, attack down with the first skill. Chain slap attacks an enemy 2 times, attack consecutively with a 40% chance. It's kind of like Drunken Master skills. And then we have the Dramatic Entrance, grant all allies 2 turn attack up and has a 80 to 100% chance to inflict 2 turn incurable to all enemies. So Dark Cult Girl does a 3 turn attack up, and then also so many multi-hits, and with additional damage, she basically, you know, mini Lucian that also buffs her own attack. Not nearly as strong as Nikki, but as the closest thing to it. Just don't expect this to be like ridiculous, like not the same level, but similar in terms of skills. Then we have the Fire Giant. So the Fire Giant is kind of like these two, except that I believe he's defense based. I believe his skills are actually based on defense. So kind of like the Dark Kung Fu Girl, kind of like not necessarily Bella specifically, but he does have a heal and is kind of similar-ish to Bella. So we've got the taunt for a skill. We've got the recover HP of allies by 20 to 24% of your max HP. I mean, there's a lot of different healers. I just chose Bella, not exactly because it doesn't boost the attack gauge like Bella does. So it's not really like Bella, just a little bit. And then we have the Shockwave attack the enemy 5 times. Each attack is a 20 to 40% to ignore the target's defense, damage based on your defense. So I feel like it's a loose, like saying that this is like these two units, it's very loose. It's like 20% like one, 20% like the other. But then like this defense based, first off, it's not random. It's the same target 5 times, and it's defense based. So it's not quite like those. It just has little elements of those. He's kind of his own thing. But yeah, I at least wanted to give some kind of example, right? I probably should have just put nothing there and been like, hey, it's kind of, but not really. Because I feel like people are going to look at that and they're going to be like, he's not like that. He does damage based on defense. It's not random. He doesn't do attack gauge boost like Bella. I agree. I'm just trying to put things there to like kind of get people. And that attack gauge boost is pretty significant though with the Bella. That is a huge part of it. Anyway, Gyrolleon. So we got the spike incurable here. Oh, Gyrolleon kind of like a mixture between maybe not a mixture, elements of each of these units, but also that second skill. Well, actually, the second skill it's not the defense break like the where's the tree and the water one have defense break, I believe. So we got the incurable for first skill, second skill, honey. I feel like this would be a great opportunity for an integration on the browser extension that wound up being just a huge scam. And of course, but isn't every influencer thing a scam? I feel like they're all a scam. I've taken so many of those crappy scam deals. Anyway, moving on, we have the honey restores 20% HP to all allies, grant immunity for 1 turn. Similar to, because like that's the part that's similar to the Harp Magician, not necessarily the third skill, right? It's just that the Harp Magician does, and there's other units that do similar, but a little bit like the Harp Magician's second skill, that's honey. And then we have the Spiral Airflow, increase the action bar of all allies by 30%, grant attack up for 2 turns. I mean, there's a handful of units that do that. There's, for example, Bastet, Megan, various things. But I just feel like, you know, we got it's more attack gauge increase than the Fire String Master. It's not quite the same. It's just similar. It's got elements. Like he's got 20% from this unit, 20% from that unit. So, anyway, moving on. Pumpkin Freak, actually, the first one, I believe, of the pumpkins that is similar to the one from Summoner's War. So, because the other ones, people are thinking that they're the same units, but they're not. Like, a lot of these units are, like, they look like something maybe from Summoner's War, but the skills are completely different, and skills are kind of similar to a different unit from Summoner's War. So, Pumpkin Freak, first skill, double hit, defense down. Second skill is a Pumpkin Vine, attack the enemy 3 times, each with a probability of 70 to 80% chance to remove 1 buff. Apply 2 turns of defense down, apply 2 turns of speed down. So multi-hits, we got the slows, we got the defense downs, and then we have the Burning Head, attack all enemies. I'm not going to make a joke about that. You guys can make jokes in the comment section. I'm not saying anything. Attack, because I want to. Attack all enemies 2 times. Each attack has a 80 to 100% chance to inflict 3 turn damage over turn. So kind of similar to the fire one from Summoner's War a little bit. I would say more than a little bit, more so than some of the other ones that we just looked at. So this next one, Sky Police, Fire Sky Police. So this the water one is Gyrolleon, right? It's really Gyrolleon. The fire one winds up not really being like the fire pirate captain. So the fire one is actually more like a mix, but yeah, it's crazy. More like a mix between one of the cannon girls and the light golem, or actually the wind golem too, are kind of similar. So we have this first skill, defense break. Damage based on your defense. If you get attacked, you have a 25% chance to counterattack the enemy. Second skill, self-defense. Grant yourself a 3-turn defense up and immunity, like the light golem. Gain an extra turn after using this ability. And then we have the Dance of Shield attacks enemies 4 times randomly, with each attack having a 100% chance to inflict 2-turn defense down. Damage based on your defense increased by 15% for each debuff on the target. So kind of similar to the fire and the water cannon girls. This multi-random defense break. I mean, there's other units that do that too, but I think that's easy to think about for people. So next one is the String Maid, and the String Maid is kind of similar to Emma from Summoner's War, the Water Neostone agent. I was going to say fighter. Water Neostone agent, we have the leader ability, 33% defense during guild battle. We have the third skill, cover shot, attack an enemy 3 times. Each attack removes 1 buff from the target. Afterward, grant all allies 3... Actually, this is supposed to be... No, you know what? This is... I think this is supposed to be the wind one. I think I put the wrong one there. So attack an enemy 3 times. Each attack removes 1 buff from the target. Afterwards, grant all allies 3-turn defense up. Damage based on your speed. Second skill is root free, recover HP by 30%. Increase action bar by 100% of target ally. And then the first skill is triple hit. Each has a 10 to 30% chance to decrease action bar by 30%. I feel like this is actually more like the wind one. I'm not sure why I put the water one there. This is definitely more like the wind one. So, I mean, it does heal here, but this is... Yeah, well, I guess, you know, the strip. The strip here is like the water one has a strip with skill too. Strip, it's kind of like both of them. It's kind of like a little bit like the water one because it's got the strip, and then it has the little heal, and then the wind one because it has the defense buff, and also has the increased action bar. But more like the wind one, to be honest. And then this one, so we notice that these two are like the Brownie Magicians, which makes this one, like, not the correct Brownie Magician that you would expect. It actually makes it kind of similar to Gemini. No speed lead, though. We have the uppercut attack an enemy. If you attack on your turn, gain another turn with a 30% chance. Second skill is a defense down. This attack won't land at a glancing hit. So similar first and second skills. And then the Gladless passive, when you attack the enemy, increase your action bar by 30% if your HP ratio is less than the enemy. That's not in Summoners, that's not part of Gemini's kit, but that is part of this one's kit. Removes 1 buff from the enemy if you have less buffs than the enemy. So that's just a passive. We can use the acid cannonball and strip everything and defense down. And that is, and then also increase your attack gauge there. So I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure how much value he loses from being a fire unit and not having the speed lead. Actually, 6-star becomes speed leader. I just noticed that right now. 6-star becomes speed leader. So he will have the speed lead. So it's Gemini. Mostly Gemini. He's a little different, but mostly Gemini. And then we have the Archon. So the Archon is very much the Fire Lich. So he's got the first skill, speed down, triple hit, speed down. Second skill, attack all enemies 3 times, recover HP by 50% of damage dealt. Each attack has a 25% chance to absorb their action bar by 15%. And then we have the Usurper passive, gains an extra turn with 15% chance. Whenever an enemy's turn ends, grants itself 1 turn attack up and crit up. When the effect activates, the activation chance will be increased each time this ability doesn't activate and will be reset after activated. It's the Fire Lich. So what else do we have next? Bookworm, which is kind of a little bit similar to a mix between, it doesn't necessarily have to be Spectra. I think it's just because of the speed down here. So we've got some elements of Julie. We've got some elements of a unit that does speed down, not necessarily Spectra. So we've got the first skill, Incurable, because the wind one is Lucian, right? The wind one is Lucian. The fire one is not the fire Joker. So the first skill, though, Incurable. Second skill, attacks all enemies, 30% chance, 30 to 50% chance to inflict 2 turns speed down and 2 turn attack down. Actually, this is why I put Spectra, is because speed down and attack down. Although this is actually an attack and not Spectra, which just does no attack and just reduces their attack gauge and speed break and attack break. So this is actually an attack here. And then we have the Sunspot, attacks all enemies 5 times. The skill ignores all buffs on the target, and each buff on the target increases damage by 50%. So this is why I'm saying Julie is AoE, 5 attacks, ignores buffs on the target, and also, well, and each buff increases damage by 50%. So multi-hits and damage increase per buff, that makes it like Julie. But I think ultimately this is a pretty solid unit. Like if you get this unit early game and you want to use this as your farmer, it's got multiple AoEs. And then also a crit damage leader skill for guild. So not a bad early game unit to summon. Then we have the Ninrat, which is effectively like the Fire Ninja in Summoner's War. Ninrat, who could have seen that coming? I know everyone's excited about the tree one. This is not as good as the tree one. I mean, would you get that excited about a Garo early game in Summoner's War? Don't say yes. I know you wouldn't. I know someone's going to be like, yes, I got him early game and I built him and then I farmed slower than I needed to. So we have the first skill, damage over turn. Second skill is double hit with a stun. Attack ignores 30% defense, but 30% defense is really not that crazy, to be honest. And then the escape plan, passive has a 20% chance to dodge when attacked. Just 20 though, not crazy, 20%. And the damage which would otherwise kill you will be canceled and increases your action bar by 50%. This effect is activated only once per turn. So I got, I think, 2 of these, actually. I'm not that excited about him. We all want the wind one, but I mean the tree one, that's what I meant, the tree one. Next up we have the engineer robot, which is kind of like a mixture between, he's got elements of the Draco and he's got elements of Mav, kind of. Not quite exactly like either of them, though. He's got the Deconstruct, which is a remove 1 buff, damage based on your defense. Second skill, maintenance, recover HP by 20%. Decreases cooldowns for 1 turn for all allies. Cannot be affected by cooldown modifying abilities. That's why I say kind of similar to Mav based on this maintenance, but he also heals as well. And then we have the overclocking, increase the action bar of all allies by 30%, grant other allies 2-turn immunity, 1 turn speed up, and 1 turn attack up, but you gain a 1-turn burn. So this is why I'm saying Draco, increased attack gauge, immunity, speed up, attack up. But at least it's a consistent, we have the 33% HP during arena battles. And then we have the Gunslinger. A lot of people already know this, is the Gunslinger is similar to, Gunslinger is similar to Vertiheel from Summoner's War, except that he also has a brand. So he's got the leader skill, 25 speed during dungeon battles. We've got the Battlefield Jazz Hand passive. I actually didn't know that this was what it's called. Increase the action bar of allies by 15% each time your attack lands a critical hit. This effect does not affect the allies who have similar abilities. And then we have the aimed shoot. Apply 1 turn mark on the enemy and then attack, which is like a brand. This attack won't land as a glancing hit. Deal more damage to boss or enemy that under inability effect. And then we have the fast draw. They'll fix some of the text over time, or maybe not. I don't know. They may not. Fast draw, attack the enemy 2 times damage based on your speed. I actually did get a chance to talk to the developer a little more, and I should just do a video talking about what we discussed. Not like in depth, just like a little bit here and there. So like a few times a week, I will actually get a chance to talk to them, which is actually really great. If you can talk to the person making the game, that's wild. That's wild. And back and forth communication, I think that's a win. I think that's a win. I hope we're not jerks. Like, I hope the community is not jerks to them, because like they're actually trying to listen to feedback. And I think that's kind of like one of the reasons I think this might have more staying power than some of the other games. But, you know, cautiously optimistic. I'm not getting ahead of I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. Next up, we have the Bomb Man. Fire Bomb Man. So the leader ability, 33% effect accuracy for fire teammates. This is similar-ish to the Light Joker a little bit. And, you know, Bomber, you kind of expect that, but also, you know, you wouldn't maybe expect the Light Joker. He's got the Cherry Bomb. First skill has a chance to stun. Second skill is, this is just a single target though. Attack an enemy has an 80% chance to inflict 1 turn defense down and 2 turn bomb. Bomb damage equal to 300 to 360% of your attack. And then the passive, plant a bomb. So this is a passive. This isn't a skill 3. Plant a bomb to target with a 30 to 50% chance when you attack an enemy, which means this now has 2 bombs. And then bomb damage equal to 120 to 144% of your attack. If any enemy trying to remove a bomb, there is a 50% chance to fail and the bomb will explodes immediately. It will explodes. So that's not quite the same skill as the Light Joker, but just the fact that it doesn't have the AoE, so it's not as strong as the Light Joker. It's just, you could bomb with the first skill, you could bomb double with the detonator, which is kind of, it's not a detonate, it's just a bomb. But yeah, you have chances to do, it's a single target bomber, but you have chances to plant a ton of bombs, potentially. Because I think this is actually higher than the Light Joker. I don't remember what the activation rate for the Light Joker is. Also, he doesn't strip, but he just has a potential to bomb a lot of single target bombs that potentially can't be cleansed. So what do we have next is the Fire Ghost Captain. Fire Ghost Captain, I think, is actually going to be he seems like he's going to be kind of useful because he is similar to, he's got elements. He's not exactly like one or the other, but he's got elements of the Cannon Girls, and he also has elements of the what's her face, Fire Fairy. Oh my god, I can't remember anything, guys. So he's got the Ghost Crew. Attack an enemy deals less damage to other enemies around. 6-star add attack bar increase. The Phosphorescence attack enemies 4 times randomly. This is where I'm getting the Cannon Girl. 4 times randomly. Each attack has a 50% chance to inflict 2-turn defense down. He has the Ghost Ship Fleet. Attack all enemies 3 times. Each attack has a 30 to 40% chance to inflict 2-turn speed down and decrease action bar by 50%. So the multi-hits, AoE multi-hits plus the speed down is what the Fire Fairy does. And then also decrease action bar. That's because she doesn't decrease the action bar. Decrease the action bar is something that, for example, the Water Cannon Girl does. So we've got little element of Water Cannon Girl here with the decrease action bar, and we've got a little element of the Water Cannon Girl here with the random multi-hits defense break. So that's why I feel like it's kind of a mix between those two, but I feel like that's a solid enough combination. It doesn't strip, sadly, but that would be ridiculous if it did. Multi-hits, slows, decrease action bar. This is going to be great in not TOA, because that's not what it's called. And all teammates get plus 18 speed. That's a good leader skill too. I think it's going to be a nice unit. I think it's going to be a nice unit to use. I think it will have some utility. Next up we have the Puppet Artist. So Puppet Artist is kind of like the Fire Harp Magician. I know I kind of referenced Fire Harp Magician a few times already, and it's really like the other ones were just the skill 2. Actually, one of them had a similar skill 3. So we've got the Dream Touch, 10 to 30% chance to absorb target's action bar, inflict 1 turn sleep, damage based on speed. It's basically exactly the Fire Harp Magician. Warm Colors removes all debuffs on target ally, recovers HP of all allies by 20%, grant them 1 turn immunity. That is the same thing. It's like the Fire Harp Magician. And we have the Mixing, evens the HP ratio of a target enemy in the lowest HP ally. Afterwards, inflict 2-turn defense down to the enemy and 2-stack Foresight to the ally. So this is a little bit stronger because then you're making the enemy, you're leeching the HP basically, and then you're making them extra vulnerable by giving them 2-turn defense down. So I think it's a little bit better than little bit more useful than the Fire Harp Magician. But yeah, it's a solid unit. Seems like a solid unit anyway. So next we have the Annihilator. The Annihilator. What are the other ones? Oh, no, they're all called that. Why am I thinking they have names? They don't have names. No one cares. They don't have names like Sally and Frank and Jazzy. I don't... Guys, listen. Why do you watch this channel? I've been saying it for years. So, similar, kind of. Just a tiny elements of Draco, tiny elements of Sylph skill 2, not necessarily him, just Sylph skill 2 in general. So we have this damage over turn with skill 1. We have the second skill AoE blind, and which is the same thing as the glancing debuff. When hitting a target with damage over turn, reduce this ability's cooldown by 1 turn. And then we have, so this is the only thing that I think the Sylph part is just the glancing debuff. Absolute advantage, increase action bar by 100% of target ally. Afterwards, grant 3 turn attack up to those allies with higher attack power, 3 turn defense up to those allies with higher defense power. So, I mean, we see Draco, it's not quite exactly the same. It's just a little elements of Draco. We got the attack gauge increase, we got the attack up, and we got the defense up. It does it differently for different units. Some units get attack up, some units get defense up, kind of like the randomness of Draco. And it also doesn't increase the action bar of everyone. So it's not really like Draco. It's just a little elements of Draco, a little elements of the Sylph, but kind of his own like he's a little Frankenstein monster. I mean, not a Frankenstein monster. Whatever. Listen, why you watch this channel? I don't even know. Next up, we have the Wisp Catcher. Get ready for this stretch. Wisp Catcher is kind of like, you don't even see the other 7 units on the right-hand side. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, he's got elements of each of these units. The water and fire magic knights, and then the water, whatever his name is, bison. water bison. Yep. So you've got the Vortex, stack the enemy 50% chance to decrease action bar by 30%. We have the Suppress Siphon attacks. All enemies recover HP equal to 20% of damage dealt. For targets with lower level than yourself, deal additional 2 damage per level difference. So the AoE with recovery, that is where he gets like this little element of the Water Magic Knight from. And then he has the Flame Drive passive, decrease target's max HP by 30% of the damage dealt. Kind of like the Water M Bison. And then he has, when attacking enemies with tree attributes, the critical damage is increased by 100%. Kind of like how the Fire Magic Knight has an increased damage part of the passive. If your attacks land a critical hit, remove 1 debuff and have a 30% chance to shorten your cooldown by 1 turn. I think he's going to be actually a really solid farmer based on the fact that he keeps decreasing cooldowns and then also does a ton of damage against tree attributes. So this should be available a lot. It cooldown 3 turn after it's maxed, and then he's going to be able to keep sustaining himself. I think this is going to be a decent farmer. You should be able to use Suppress Siphon as long as you're hitting like tree element units, hitting the AoE of all of those units. You should be able to use this skill 2 all the time. So I think that's probably a pretty decent farming type unit. Next up we have, here's another one. Here's another crazy. We have the Fire Assassin. So the Fire Assassin, kind of elements of these 3. He's got like healing integration mechanics. So he's got some ignore defense. He's got some healing integration. We've got the first skill, attack the target and apply 2 turn damage over turn to both yourself and the target. This effect cannot be resisted. He's got the Deadly Price, consume 50% of your current HP. Attack the target, lower your HP, the more defense is ignored. Kind of like the Water Demon, or the other demon as well. The Dark one has the same thing. Gain 2 turns of shield based on the damage dealt of 50%. And then he has the Bloodthirsty passive. The healing effects received by yourself are doubled, kind of like the Fire Werewolf. And then he has the other healing effects received by others are halved, kind of like Lexi the Fire Assassin. Additionally, based on the number of units on the field, including falling units with health with health at or below half, each will increase your speed by 20 and your damage by 20, with boss units providing double the bonus. So that part is not necessarily like them, but he is kind of a mashup between the units that have those different healing mechanics where they heal more or limit the healing of other units on the battlefield. And this is definitely a water demon skill. And this is just over time going to make him stronger, kind of how Lexi, if you take her in at the very beginning of the match, she's not going to be as strong as after a couple rounds and things have happened, she gets stronger. So kind of similar in that fashion, not a one-to-one comparison of anything in Summoner's War, but similar. Then we have the bear, and the bear is kind of his own thing. So bear it's kind of like the other bears were kind of their own thing too. He's got elements of, well, he's got the defense down here. Recover your HP by 30% of damage dealt. Damage increases based on your maximum HP. Not a bad first skill. Actually, a pretty solid first skill. Bear down the mountain grants yourself a 2-turn crit up and attack all enemies. If you kill an enemy, you will gain 1 turn of unyield. This 2-turn crit up and attack all enemies is kind of like the dark high elemental after it's second awakened. If you kill an enemy, you will gain 1 turn of unyield. Damage increases based on your maximum HP. So it's not, he's going to be tanky, but also have some damage. And then we have the slow to react passive. This is what's kind of different. Due to sluggishness, damage or healing will not take effect immediately, but will be delayed until the end of your turn. Additionally, when you attack, you will deal additional damage by 30% of the accumulated damage and healing received. So, if you kill this guy, he doesn't die. Then he gets a turn. Oh, here we go. It wouldn't be one of my videos unless the battery was exhausted. That just means that I talk too long. So we'll switch out this this battery. But basically, you try to kill him. He doesn't take damage. He finally gets a turn. He starts killing your units. And then at the end of the turn, he takes all of the at the end of the turn, he takes all the damage that he would have taken before. I hate that this does this. He takes all the damage that he would have taken before. And then he dies at the end of his turn, basically. But he still survives throughout his turn. And then dies afterwards. What do we have next is the Twin Blade. So the Twin Blade is mostly like... Are we still going to have that effing box? No box on my face. Phrasing. Twin Blade is very much like Vanessa from Summoner's War. We've got the first skill, attack an enemy, cast air slash automatically on a random enemy if the target gets killed by this attack. Same thing as Vanessa, right? Air slash, attack an enemy, inflict 2-turn defense down, damage based on target's max HP. Same as Vanessa. So Vanessa, and then we have the Eternal Forge passive. Not quite a one-to-one comparison, but similar. Immune against reducing action bar effect. At the start of your turn, revive 1 dead ally with 50% HP and 50% action bar, and grant a 1-turn unyield effect up. So very similar to Vanessa. Not completely the same, but very similar. And then the leader ability, all teammates get 33 speed during arena battle. And then 6-star is increase the crit race. I mean, it's very, 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 very much Vanessa. Next, we have the Man-at-Arms. So the Man-at-Arms is very similar to... And this didn't dawn on me. Like, for 2 minutes, I was like, he's kind of like this, but kind of like that. And then I'm going through the icons to try to, like, to put him in the presentation. And I'm like, oh, no, he's Rakan. He's exactly Rakan. I don't know why I didn't see that sooner. But, you know, I get these things. I don't know why I didn't see some of these things sooner. So the thrust, attack an enemy, damage increases his target's HP gets worse. We got the Psych Up, grant yourself 3-turn attack up and immunity. Grant an extra turn after using this ability. Very much Rakan. And then the Searing Blitz, attack an enemy, removes all buffs and inflict 2-turn taunt damage based on your max HP. If this ability is on cooldown, you have a 30% chance to counterattack the attacker with Searing Blitz when attacked. I don't know how I did, like, after I saw that, I'm like, I don't know how I didn't see this, like, immediately. This is Rakan. You should have seen, but in my defense, so many times when I was playing Summoner's War, I was like, I could really use a fire unit that counterattacks when he gets cooled down. I don't know. Like, it just wouldn't dawn on me. I'm like, all right, Rakan. I should be picking Rakan. Why was I not picking Rakan? I should have picked Rakan. So, story of my life. Why did I not see? This was so obvious. Why did I not see it earlier? But, yeah. Next up, we have the Iron Fist. So the Iron Fist is similar to... I'm going to let you guys guess. So the other one, the water one, similar to Camila. What is this one similar to? We already had a Vanessa. So this one is actually similar to Veladril, right? So we have Flick for skill. Attack an enemy, remove one buff with a 75% chance. Damage based on your defense. We have a second. I don't know what okay. Attack an enemy, 80%, 80 to 100% chance to inflict 2-turn defense down and 1-turn stun damage based on your defense. Doesn't have a heal like Veligal does. I mean, unless some of these units, like I'm saying some of these things, but there have been 2 balance patches since the last time I played Summoner's War, so things possibly changed since then. I'm sure things did change, I just don't know what changed. Then we have the Palm of Courage, removes all debuffs on all allies, grant them 3-turn immunity, increase the action bar by 30%. It's absolutely Veligal. And then the fire teammates get 42% HP. What do we have next is Dr. Evil. And this unit, I kind of want. So after we 6-star him, we get 15% extra crit rate. This one is very similar to a mix of Zyros and Legmaron. I'm trying to remember all these units. Oh my goodness. Zyros and Legmaron. So you got the first skill, attacking enemy 2 times. Each attack has a 30 to 50% chance to apply 2-turn blind damage based on your speed. We have a Gamma Ray second skill, attack all enemies, 60 to 70% chance to inflict 1-turn stun and 2-turn speed down. That is where we get the Legmaron from. And then we have the Disintegrate, grant yourself 1-turn attack up, attack all enemies, and maximizes their ability cooldown. Additionally, when you attack a target with max HP greater than twice your own, the damage dealt is increased by 40%. So he's very much like a combination. He's more like Zyros, but he's very much like a combination of Zyros and Legmaron, because this is not Zyros' second skill. Zyros does all the dots. This makes more sense to be like Legmaron, but still a solid unit. Would be great unit for early game that you could just use the entire way throughout the game. I'm looking at the fan that he's riding. This seems like it physically would not. He would not be. He would just fall over on his face. Anyway, we don't need to think about physics. It's a video game. Don't think about physics unless you're playing Goat Simulator. So next up we have the Fire Electromancer, and the Fire Electromancer is actually very similar to Juno in Summoner's War. We have the first skill, shock attack an enemy 3 times, increase your action bar by 10% each time the attack lands a critical hit. We have the reverse polarity attack all enemies, 60 to 80% chance to remove all buffs or replaces several buffs to debuffs. And then we have the static spark passive, remove all debuffs on you at the start of your turn, recover the HP and action bar of all allies by 10% for each removed effect. And then the leader skill, 25% crit rate, very, very much similar to Juno. What do we have next? Fire Music Queen. And I know you're going to be like, oh, we saw the other Music Queens. They're similar to the Desert Queens. So this one must be similar to the Desert Queen plus a Triton, kind of. So we've got the first skill, Dissonance. Attack the enemy 2-turn attack down with a 50 to 80% chance. Second skill is the defense down, AoE, defense down, incurable, and blind, 70 to 80% chance. Damage increased by 15% for each debuff on the target. Those two very much like Segment, especially the leader skill too. 33% HP leader skill. But then we have the Warm Hospitality, attack all enemies 2 times. Each attack removes all buffs and decrease their action bar by 20%. Attack won't land as a glancing hit. So that's kind of where I get the Triton from. And then when we 6-star, it is plus 15 speed. But this is not what Sekhmet does with her third skill. So AoE, attack enemies and remove buffs and decrease action bar. You would think that this would be a good. I mean, it's Initiator Disruptor though. She's not gonna be a great farmer. You could put her, give her like high crit rate, high crit damage, use her as a farmer early game, I guess. But yeah, it won't land as a glancing hit. Yeah. What else? What else do we have? Next up, we have the Sorcerer, and the Sorcerer is not really like a Summoner's War unit. So let's take a look at this one. We have the Mana Flow, 20 to 50% chance to inflict 1-turn stun. We have the Mana Compress, attack an enemy removes 1 buff, damage increases as target's HP gets better. I mean, this is not a very exciting second skill for a Nat 5. One enemy remove 1 buff. Okay. Then we have the Pyrokinesis passive. When your turn begins, recover 10% HP for all allies. When yourself or an ally takes fatal damage, remove all debuffs from the target, recover to 50% HP. If it's applied to yourself, recover to 100% HP. Additionally, when attacking enemies, there is a 50% chance to apply burn for 1 turn. So, I mean, I can't really say this is very much like anything. I was expecting this to be kind of like Brandia, right? I was like, okay, well, one of them is like Tiana. One of them is going to be like Brandia. Not quite. The stun, that's not like Brandia. The mana compress, that's not like Brandia. Pyrokinesis passive. So both of these skills, significantly better than just removing a buff and damage increase, because we remove a buff and then you can kind of, it's kind of similar to a few different units, but just like 10% like this, 10% like that. He's got a little bit of Triana, right? Because when an ally takes fatal damage, remove all buffs and recover to 50% HP. I mean, not that Triana does. You can take a turn and then use skill 2 to remove the buffs with Triana. If it's applied to yourself, recover to 100% HP, kind of like Tyrannus, right? But yeah, and then when attacking enemy, 50% chance to apply burn for 1 turn. Who does that? Someone does that in Summoner's War. Whatever. It's kind of its own thing, though. So we'll see how we feel about it when actually using that. Unless that's the skills from one of the new units. I don't know. I didn't see or play with any of the new units. Next up, we have the Fire Barbarian. Sorry, the Fire Mr. Barbarian. And then the Wind one is kind of like Leo, right? Gravity Presence passive. So this one, you would think, is kind of like Leica. And you would be correct. It is kind of like Leica. So we've got the first skill, damage over turn. If the attack lands a critical hit. And then we have the Megaton Smash attack. An enemy won't land as a glancing hit, ignores all buffs on the target. And then we have the Hot Temper passive. If your attack is not quite exactly the same thing, but it is very similar. If your attack lands a glancing hit, immediately use Megaton Smash to attack again. Additionally, when attacked, there's a 50% chance to counterattack and apply 1 turn of stun. So it's like the old Leica. 1 turn of stun. Damage taken in a single instance will not exceed 30% of your max HP. And then we have the leader ability. Fire teammates get 42% extra defense. I noticed they do the 42 when you would see like a 50% in Summoner's War. They do a 42% here. So what else do we have? Next is Mercenary Mother. So Mercenary Mother is kind of like, because you know some of the other ones look like paladins. Act like paladins. This one, not quite the same. This one actually closer to the Fire Monkey. So we've got the first skill, attack an enemy, 40 to 50% chance to inflict 1 turn stun, damage based on your defense. We've got the also recover HP for yourself when it is 6-starred. We have the X cut, attack an enemy 2 times. Each attack has a 60 to 80% chance to inflict 2 turn defense down. Afterward, grants yourself two stacks of provoke, damage based on your defense. And then we have the Tumbler passive, immune to inability effects, like the Monkey King. Counterattack with a probability of 20%. Additionally, each time you are attacked, increase your defense by 30% and your counterattack chance by 5%, stacking up to 5 times. So it's not quite the same. It's similar, but it's kind of its own thing. And then we have the leader ability, 33% defense. But I mean, it's kind of like 70% like the Fire Monkey King. So what else do we have next? We have the Wandering Monk. Get ready for this, guys. So the Wandering Monk, actually, I mean, we've seen that this is kind of like Molong, right? We've got the self-sacrifice for the water one. Fire one, actually, yeah. What's all this nonsense? Kind of like 4 different units from Summoner's War. So let's explain. So we've got the first skill, attack an enemy 3 times. 50 to 70 chance to apply 2 turn defense break on the first 2 attacks, similar to the Fire Panda. We've got the Penance, removes all debuffs on you and gain 2 turn counter. Afterwards, grant a 2 turn healing overturn on all allies, kind of like the Fire Panda. And then we have the Volatile passive, which is everything goes out the window with the Volatile passive. And then we've got the Guild Battle 42% accuracy leader skill. Not as good of a leader skill as the Panda, but the rest of this makes up for it. Higher the speed, the higher the glancing probability when being attacked. So, kind of like Sonya. And then we have the when attacking an enemy, deal additional damage equal to 800 to 1040% of your speed. Kind of like Miles. And then we have 20 to 40% chance to apply 1 of 3 effects for 2 turns. Speed down, blind, or attack down based on attribute relation, which is kind of like the magical archers. Their skill 1 does different things based on the attribute relation. So that's where I'm getting this nonsense crazy thing that's over there. It's interesting to use it. I mean, he seems like he could be solid with skills that are like all of those. I would say it's looks like a pretty decent bruiser, especially for like guild content. But we'll see. The game just came out. So then we have the Psychosurgeon. So Psychosurgeon is effectively Tessarion. So we've got the first skill, damage over turn, damage based on your speed, exactly like Tessarion. We've got the Tri-Slice, attack an enemy 3 times. Each attack has a 50 to 80% chance to inflict 2-turn defense down, like Tessarion. And then we have the Anesthetic passive. When you attack the enemy, except for the boss, prevent their passive abilities from functioning and apply a 2-turn oblivion to the target, like Tessarion. Additionally, deals a 30% extra damage to enemies with debuffs. Tessarion. So this is the Tessarion of this game. It's, you know what I notice is there's no way to, like, there's certain units in Summoner's War that are farmable units because you can fuse them, you can do secret dungeons, you can get them from the scenario. In this, it's not quite the same. In this, you have to actually, I don't know what they're going to add to it or what they're going to change, or if they're going to make units over time, like, oh, we'll make this easier to get. There's other units that do Oblivion, though. I mean, there's 4-stars that do Oblivion, too, so I guess you don't need this. Since it just does it passively, there's other Oblivion stuff, but yeah, it's just one of those things that I notice. But again, it's not like you need that unit for Oblivion. There's other things. So, what do we have next? The Sphere Sage, which is hard to compare to a Summoner's War unit. So, we've got the first skill. So the other ones are actually like the Fairy Kings, right? So the water one is kind of like Samoth. The tree one is kind of like like Ganymede. This one, not really like Daphnis. I was expecting Daphnis, but not actually like Daphnis. We've got the double hit. Each attack has a 30 to 50% chance to remove 1 buff on the target. We have the Pulse Nova, Plus Nova. I thought it said Pulse Nova. Attack all enemies. So this is actually like Daphnis, though. Chance to increase their cooldown by 1 turn. Automatically cast this ability when in core form with lower damage and effect rate. And then we have the Thermocore. Grant all allies 3-turn attack up and transform into core form. Core is immune to debuffs and action bar decreasing effect but cannot attack. After taking 5 hits, it will explode, dealing damage and reverting to sage form. While in core form, other allies deal additional true damage, so like ignore defense, equal to 50% of their attack power when they attack. So it's like the additional damage from the artifacts with this what did it say? True damage. So yeah, it is somewhat similar to Daphnis in the first 2, and then completely not like Daphnis when you get to the Thermocore. But we will take a look and we'll see that in action and see how we feel about it. Definitely, I like it better than Daphnis. I'm not a huge Daphnis fan, to be honest, but I think maybe that's probably not that that's probably pretty obvious. So next up we have the Specialist, Fire Specialist. Fire Specialist, not exactly, but kind of a little bit like the Fire Totemist. So what does it do? We've got the 25 speed lead, which is actually nice. We've got the Gauss Rifle, launch an electromagnetic projectile to attack the enemy, 60-80% chance to apply 1 turn of paralysis. We've got the Electro Web, attacks all enemies 2 times with a 50 to 60% chance to apply 1 turn of stun and damage over turn. And then we have so she's got the AoE dots, and she's got the CC. Well, I mean, we put the spare on the Totemist. I mean, people put a Violent on it too, but then we have the Coking. When attacking or being attacked, there is a 40 to 60% probability of converting one of the target's buff effects into damage over turn. When you attack the enemy, deal damage equal to 5% of the target's current HP for each debuff effect they have, but not exceeding 15% of your max HP. So like 50 to 60% like the Fire Totemist, and then the rest it's kind of like similar but different. So not quite a 1-to-1 comparison like some of the other things, but it is similar to the Fire Totemist. Then we have the War Nurse, which is kind of like it's got elements of these. It's not exactly like it, but it's got elements of the Light Heart, got elements of the Fire Undyne. I know some of you are like, oh, that doesn't look as exciting as I wanted it to be. We have the Injection. It's a support unit, right? So Injection, attack an enemy, recover 15 to 18% of HP to the ally with the lowest health. We have the Nanotherapy, remove 1 debuff from all allies, recover 20 to 26% HP, increase the target ally's action bar by 100%. So it's similar in terms of like increasing the action bar to the light harg. Why did I think the light harg was it this? Blood transfusion passive. Oh yeah, because the attack up here at the start. So we got to increase attack action gauge, and then we have also an attack up. So at the start of the turn, remove 1 debuff effect from yourself and the ally with the lowest health, and balance the health ratio. Actually, would this make more sense to be like the Water Garuda though? I'm overthinking this. At the start of the turn, remove 1 debuff effect from yourself and the ally with the lowest health, and so this is passive. Balance the health ratio if your health is lowest. Balance with the ally who has the highest health. Then, based on the health status of the ally with the lowest health, grant them 1 turn of either attack up, healing over turn, or invincible. That's right, because this was the light harg has a passive that does something similar. So it's kind of a mix between, and I'm saying the Fire Undyne because that has like an HP rebalance mechanic. Even though it's not a passive, it's a little bit like the Fire Undyne is a little bit more like the light harg. Not completely like either one of them, but yeah, I don't know if I'm super excited about the Fire Warners, but yeah, that is it. All of the fire units in Element Fission at the time being. I'm sure someone's gonna watch this like, I don't know, in the future, and they're gonna be like, oh, there's more units than that. Where's this thing? Where's that thing? Where's the candy cane monster? I don't know. Element Fission, you got to make a candy cane monster, otherwise you're going to make a liar out of me. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it for this one. I will see you as always in the next one.